What is up, Karma Nation? Welcome back, everybody. We are here to week 10 to talk everything about the cash process. We're going to talk some football. I just got off the Masters podcast with Sam. Go check that out, by the way. That just dropped. So hyped for Masters week. Ben and I talking a little golf before we got on to this week 10 edition of the NFL podcast. So it's a crazy week, man. November, we got golf, we got football, we got a vaccine. The world's changing immediately. Hey, let's be real. We run a sports company, man, like sports in 2021. Like, we're not going to have to deal probably with many issues moving forward into next year, that is. So a lot of good things today, right? Let's get into it. Let's talk about last week a little bit. Man, I mean, I'll just start with the whole, like, be the Debbie Downer on Justin Jackson. If you remember, Ben, in Discord chat, which you can find under the product section with all the content, cheat sheets, core plays, and more at dfskarma.com, you asked, Ben, I believe on a Wednesday, maybe, you said, give me some of your hot takes this week in Discord. I chimed in, I think, later in the day or the evening, and I said Justin Jackson for all the money. You remember? And that was like early in the week. So I did curse the chat. I have a way of cursing our Discord chat. So I'll try to curse the right or the wrong guy this week, I guess. But, man, he burnt me on FanDuel. I was looking fine, like just an easy cash and cash games, excuse me, and he didn't play. I just needed a few points from him. DraftKings, not to pour salt on other people's wounds, I had Justin Jackson, but fortunately I was able to cash, and my lineup was meh. I had some good things in there. I got Josh Allen right. You had to have Dalvin Cook. I almost came off him late Saturday. I mean, I knew it was dumb. That's why I played him. So shout out to myself for not being that dumb. But for some reason, Ben, Dalvin Cook was only like 40% owned in cash games. To me, that was shocking on DraftKings. I thought for sure we were looking at like a 65% ownership. So that was the big difference for me, and kind of got away with Lockett bombing. I wanted Keenan Allen. I just didn't play him. I didn't get to him. Tight end was a hot mess on both sites. I played Fan on FanDuel, and Hawkinson, ironically, I knew that was my one mini leverage of the week, 3% owned. I mean, I guess he scored, whatever. But, let's talk about your week. You had a tight end, if we can go back in time, who was 2,500, who was 1% owned. Actually, I believe he was a 0.5% owned on FanDuel. He was like 1% on DraftKings in certain tournaments. He got you 2 touchdowns, and you still struggled. It's mind-boggling. That's usually a lock for a win. So I'm sorry, bro. I mean, it just is what it is.
Dude, I've been extremely unlucky in DFS. This 2020, I've been so unlucky. I'm keeping a positive mindset though. A lot of people in Discord have my back, but we're setting up for a positive run here. We have to be, because I've just been getting so unlucky. This dude at 2:00 on Sunday, this was headed for Irv Smith Jr. Day. Like, this was gonna go down in Discord history as just an epic day. Ended up playing Irv Smith in cash. 1% owned, scores 2 touchdowns. I mean, it's almost, it has to, I don't know the odds. I bet if you did the odds, I bet it's like 80% or greater that you win double ups with a 1% owned punt tight end that scores 2 touchdowns. Like, it has to be just crazy odds. And then I pull the Rockets against the Warriors, just missing 43s and a quarter and lost. I mean, just insane. But dude, Justin Jackson gets hurt on the first play. Russ, I know Russ had a good day at like, kind of came back in garbage time a little bit, but I mean, still, like, dude, they were down like 17-0 instantly. Like, it should have been an epic Russell Wilson game. Like, it was set up so perfectly, and it just didn't work out. I don't know, super unlucky week, but I'm excited for this week. We got to get back on track, man, because I can't keep getting these unlucky losses, man. It is just so frustrating.
Well, let's just be real, Ben. The regression is coming for you positively, and it's coming for me soon negatively. I mean, I hate saying it. I got a little lucky. I don't know. Like I said, I mean, I squeaked by. It sucks, dude, because I had Jackson as well, and I had a fairly decent line. But when you score 0 points, I mean, you start to really fall into the abyss. But I did. I hung on, and that's a little positive regression for me. But these things can change on the dime, obviously, and we'll see. We'll get at it this week. I mean, it's Monday. We're doing this podcast actually night earlier since we hammered out the Masters one. Hopefully we have some thoughts again. I feel like, to be fair, Ben, we have been on point this year at the cash process. There's no doubt about it. Obviously, this is impossible to track, but I feel like we have been consistently on the right plays early in the week relative to, even the last couple of years. I mean, again, call it dumb luck, but generally I'm sticking with most of the plays we're talking about. So let's do it. Let's just get into it Monday. Let's see if we stay in this direction, because you already have one guy in specific. I mean, it's Monday. I don't know if he'll be popular, but we'll get there. Let's talk quarterback. Let's start with quarterback. Who are you looking at early quarterback this week?
Yeah, I mean, quarterback starting out highest price guy in DraftKings, aka Kyler Murray. We have to include this guy in like this podcast and just in our player pool. He went so low owned yesterday. It was insane. And we could kind of see it happening Sunday morning, but dude, he feels still too cheap at 8K. I mean, he's on pace to come very close to Lamar's rushing record from last year, and he's on pace to beat it touchdown wise. He's on pace for way more rushing touchdowns than Lamar had last year, and the yardage is relatively close. So I feel like 8K is still a discount for him. Obviously, I played Russell Wilson against the same defense yesterday, so I'm not super scared of the matchup. And I mean, Lamar got up to like 9K last year, so I think Kyler is probably still a little bit too cheap at 8K given what he's been doing on the ground. And I mean, dude, he's so hard to tackle he looks like similar to Lamar when he runs. Like, he is hard to bring down. So I think we have to include him at 8K. I would prefer him to all these other expensive guys. I prefer him to Russ against the Rams. And I obviously prefer him to Rodgers given that he had such a high floor with his legs. Allen in that same game at 75, I think, is in play. And then you kind of have Herbert and Watson in that upper 6K range. Herbert, tougher matchup to the air against Miami. Watson obviously on the road, but the Browns defense is pretty bad. I think there's a lot of good quarterbacks as of right now, at least expensive ones.
Yeah, for me, it's quite simple this week, taking a look right now, digesting this. I mean, the last few weeks, there's been like a number of guys, even some cheapy ones I'm looking at. I don't like really anything besides Kyler Murray, Josh Allen, and Deshaun Watson. Those are my three this week that I will choose from for cash games. I mean, it's really that simple. It'll be those three. Right now, of course, I always like to start with the cheapest guy. Totally get it with Murray. I mean, if you got the money at 8,000, great, but I probably will lean towards Watson right now versus the Browns defense, who, as you said, is terrible. I mean, they'll get Garrett more healthy, but he should be able to do whatever he wants against his defense. And then Josh Allen at this point in a game against Arizona where he'll see an uptick in plays. It's kind of like the analytics meets, the fast team that is producing more plays. I mean, you got to look right back at Josh Allen. He did bring me home the bacon last week, so I will probably serve up some loyalty points for him again this week. All right, let's go to running back then. CMC is out. Is that correct? Are we going back to Mike Davis this week? I mean, what else do we have going on?
Dude, okay, so they didn't say McCaffrey's out. They said he's the report was that his status is in doubt. And given how cautious they were with his ankle, I'm assuming that they'll probably keep him out for this game. This is Monday, so we have no idea. But this is a major piece of news because if you look at this, DraftKings kind of fell asleep at the wheel here, not realizing that he got banged up at the end of that game. Mike Davis is min price at 4K. So if there was a situation where McCaffrey was out, you would be forced to just lock Mike Davis in for $4,000.
Yeah. Man, he's 4K. Like,
yeah,
wait,
he's
why?
literally the min price. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. They should have just left him. Why would you not just leave him at his price that he was? Like upper 6K or whatever he was. Why wouldn't you just leave him like that?
But isn't CMC declared out already? I thought he was.
No, they didn't officially say he was out. They just said like he's day to day. I'm assuming he's gonna be out.
I hope he plays.
Yeah, I hope he plays because, dude, if he doesn't play, I mean, everyone will play Mike Davis, but so it's going to lead to a lot of similar lineups,
Yeah, I mean, enough of that stuff. I mean, I don't want that this week either. So I love Aaron Jones, right? Smash spot, Aaron Jones, easy button. Yep. Why is he 7,100? You feel like he should be like 79, 82, right? In that ballpark.
Yeah, I mean, he looked fine in that Thursday nighter. Obviously gets the little extra week and a half to get ready for this game, and he's a discount off of Kamara. I do think Kamara's in play, obviously, given that it's DraftKings scoring. Still saw five? I think he caught 5 balls last night, but with Michael Thomas back,
Yeah.
it does hurt his receiving upside a little bit. But he's still in play at 8,200. But yeah, Jones for another $1,000 less is very, very interesting.
I bet some people will gravitate towards James Conner, and I get it for all the reasons of the matchup, coming back off a downer game in general for all of them, home game. He's probably a good play. I just, man, you know me, I kind of knock him a little bit. Maybe it's the eyeball test. I just never really go that route. I mean, I think people will probably talk themselves into playing James Conner, though, in cash games.
Yeah, McFarland and Benny Snell were just too involved for me to be interested in Connor in cash games, even maybe in tournaments. I mean, like anytime I flipped over to that game, I felt like Benny Snell or McFarland was in. It was weird. So I don't know. I'll probably pass on him. Like I'd rather play Chubb, honestly, if he plays, or even Kareem Hunt, something like that.
Yeah,
Josh Jacobs,
you can't play them. We can't play them. I mean, the Browns are just,
yeah.
let's be real, they're too much of a 1-2 punch. It's unfortunately we can't play them in cash games.
No, I was talking like tournaments. Like if you're gonna play Connor, I would rather play those guys. But yeah, I mean Jones is great. Chase Edmonds, we have to consider again. I know he didn't have a great game, only 11 fantasy points, but he got all the work. He was on the field a ton. He just got trolled by Kyler, which is definitely possible happening again, right? That's the risk when your quarterback is running like Kyler Murray is. But he was on the field a ton, and I don't mind the matchup. So 6,300 for Edmonds, I do think is interesting. I guess the conversation would be, who do you prefer between Edmonds and Josh Jacobs? They're around the same price tag.
Actually, neither. I would look at two more reliable players at this point in the season. And I actually talked about it in the cash process last week. I debated it all week. For some reason, he doesn't get enough love. But I mean, James Robinson, I feel safer just because he's involved in the passing game like much more steadily than we originally thought even earlier in the year. And I like his price; it's fair. I mean, they're going to be behind. He's probably going to get 4 to 6 catches on top of his. I feel like he has 100 yards rushing, Ben, every week, and it kind of gets swept under the rug, right? He's a very fair price.
He's a beast, and I kind of talked about Jake Luton being known as this check down guy, so that could boost James Robinson, and then naturally Jake Luton comes out and throws a 70-yard touchdown pass in the first play of the game, which I thought was hilarious. But I think Robinson's certainly in play. He's good, and he should be a little bit more expensive too, I think.
Also in that range, man, your guy, you touted him in the offseason a lot. Miles Sanders might go overlooked this week. If we get any type of report saying that it is, engine lights on and we're good to go, we got to consider him for cash games, right?
Yeah, I would be definitely interested in that. We'll see how the news shakes out later on in the week, but I don't know, a lot of 6K running backs, man. This is interesting.
Yeah, I like it. There's options this week.
Yeah, and then we got to talk about at 5K, the stars are aligning for potentially. You can't write the story, right? I mean, Duke Johnson with David Johnson potentially out from a concussion, revenge game against his former team, looked pretty good in the relief of David Johnson yesterday. We know he's going to be involved in the passing game, so it doesn't matter if the Texans are trailing. It's just funny how things work out that we potentially are going to get him with no David Johnson in this revenge game that we know people will love.
No joke. Duke Johnson was one of my favorite players during the dark years, the last 5 years of Browns football, where it seemed like we'd average maybe one win a year. I love Duke Johnson as a player. Frankly, I don't understand why he never really caught on more, even with the Texans. I mean, it's not like he's that old, but again, these guys age quicker than we think. Maybe he just always was a 3-down back. But Ben, you hit the nail on the head. He has the ability to be a true workhorse. He really does. And he loved his time in Cleveland. Like, he would love to show out. I mean, that's what he is. He's swaggy like that, right, Ben? I mean, he's got so much electric upside. And frankly, if David Johnson's in, I would consider Duke Johnson is like a 3% play this week in the event that David Johnson plays in your tournament lineups and 3 max entry type stuff.
Yeah, he's exactly the type of guy that wants to get the revenge game, right? Just knowing him from being in Cleveland, like this is probably something he circled on his calendar before the season anyway. So it's just fitting that we could get it with no David Johnson. But
I got a question for you, just in case, I don't know, maybe picks up traction later in the week. I'm looking at matchup. Fournette. Wow, Tampa Bay needs a freaking win. Talk about a team needing a bounce back. I have a feeling they're going to hand him the rock a lot. And he's been pretty involved in the pass catching game as well, man. 5,500. I think we need to take a hard look at Fournette at some point this week.
yeah, it's a really good matchup. Tough to trust Ronald Jones, and I think that
Yeah.
I don't remember. I can't remember who it was against, but we know that Fournette he had one long touchdown earlier this season already. But I mean, the matchup is so good. I was going to mention him. I do think he will end up being a play for sure.
He's a great tournament play.
Yeah,
I
for
guess
sure.
more of a tournament play, but I just wanted to hear your thoughts. All right, let's go to wide receiver. Let me just lead off. I don't know, Ben. I don't think you can play Devontae Adams in cash games. I mean, I don't care if the YouTube people come at me with it, but 9K, that's kind of like that range where I'll never forget 2 years ago. We've been doing this specific podcast 3 years, I think, maybe 4, but 3 for sure. I remember the second year we were doing this. I remember we made a golden rule of never touching a 9K receiver in cash games unless there was just utter cheap value at all running back positions, because we got burned with the Adam Thielen, like best quote unquote chalk spot of all time against the Lions. I'll never forget it. And he had like 2 points. I don't know. Devontae's a boss. He's going to get his touchdown. 9K, man. Again, it just comes down to roster construction. That's why I wanted to lead with Aaron Jones. Like, give me the piece of the Green Bay game with Jones, who should see the rock enough and should be the guy that gets enough Green Bay points. Because if you don't play Aaron Jones for whatever reason, again, based on if value opens up or whatever, I would definitely try to play Devontae Adams. That's how I would play this slate.
Yeah, you probably just want one of them. But I agree, 9K for a receiver is probably just too much, especially when you factor in that Jones is going to be back healthy to take some receiving work away. Not that Devontae still won't dominate the targets, because he will, but it is just a little bit to lower the ceiling, I feel like. I don't know, looking at the top of receiver, obviously it's early on Monday, but who do you really like here? Like, aside from Keenan at 7,100, who do you feel like safe about locking into your cash game lineup? I don't see any of these guys at the top that I feel like are must plays in cash. Keenan is the safest one, I feel like.
Well, first off, it's funny you bring up Keenan. Like, let's just talk about Keenan. I don't know about you, Ben, but I've made I had that huge monster win with Keenan Allen in my lineup like 3 or 4 weeks ago. And for some reason I like haven't gone back to the well. I don't know why. Like, what am I doing wrong? I know going into each Sunday, wow, I don't have Keenan in my main lineup. I'm probably screwed. So I don't think I'm going to make that mistake again, even though I've accidentally, like I said, I've had some positive, good regression. Maybe this is the week I curse Keenan Allen now that I'm talking about how I have to play him and he only gets 3 points. But I feel like you have to play Keenan Allen. That's where we're at right now. 7,100 seems cheap, kind of.
Yeah, he's in this upper 6, low 7 range every week, and then he goes out and dominates the targets. And the last 2 weeks, he's got in the end zone. So, and it feels like his price never really moves, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't love a ton of the other stuff I'm seeing. Like, we still have Ayuk maybe with some of those 49ers injuries. We'll monitor that. I mean, the Tampa Bay guys against Carolina, like, there's too many mouths to feed. I hate using that
Yeah, I ain't
cliche
trusting that.
term, but you have Evans, you have Godwin, now you have Antonio Brown. Like, that's a mess in terms of DFS. So I'm gonna pass on them. I think in cash games, I don't mind Jerry Jeudy at 5,600. I know that seems like a really high price tag, but dude, he's looked so good the last couple weeks. Now you have this. I don't know. Fant left the game yesterday. I haven't really seen much on the injury front this morning, but I mean, Judy is legit, man, and I'm not scared of picking on the Raiders. So 5,600, I think he's honestly still in play.
No, that's a great take, because Judy was a guy I considered on FanDuel, and I haven't done the math, but I don't think it actually would have made a difference for me, considering Justin Jackson played 1 snap. But I considered him big time. I played him in some of my tournaments on DraftKings, which was great, but I just didn't wedge him in my cash game lineup on DraftKings, and I knew that was a mistake too. That was another mistake. Like again, I was kind of like lucky to hang on because I avoided some of the other things that I knew were good plays. I just for some reason didn't make it work. But to your point, 5,600. He's going to get a matchup now against Joyner, who we've been kind of attacking a lot. I think that price is legit. Like he looked the part. I actually watched the second half of that game, and I was like, wow. I mean, yes, I've seen him, but when you're actually like watching one game for a while, and like, dude, this guy is legit. It was nice to see him. So I like him a lot. I feel like I should start evaluating playing him more. He's probably going to be one of those guys that is priced around 7K down the road.
For sure. And then we need to mention in the why is he this price category of the week, I don't know the situation with Matt Stafford, and I don't even know if he's going to play because he missed last week. But if he does play, Kenny Galladay's $5,900 on DraftKings. I
You
mean,
love
what?
Kenny
Like,
Galladay.
I know what is that price tag though, dude? Just like that's just too cheap. If he's in
Yeah,
and Stafford's fine, like I would imagine that gets a lot of traction.
yeah. I actually would have totally overlooked it, to be honest. I mean, I saw him there, but I guess the queue is what made my brain just scroll past him. Yeah, you're definitely right. I mean, you would think he'd have bigger games by now, which is the one concern. It just feels like every time I play him, it's like I get enough out of him, but it's not like, dude, like I needed more help, bro. Like I'm playing you this week. I feel like it's that kind of thing. I know you know what I'm talking about, Ben.
Yeah.
Um, he's close to having those big performances, but yeah, you're right. I mean, he's probably cheap. I mean, we'll evaluate injury news on that. Anyone else? I'm kind of scrolling down below. Man, it is intriguing looking at Antonio Brown at 5,800. Obviously, don't think we can do it, but how many snaps did he play last night? Do you know?
I think he was close to 40 snaps, if I remember correctly.
Ooh,
But yeah,
okay,
he was
so
on the field, and Brady,
it's more than
he
I thought.
yeah, he threw a deep shot to him early on in that game. He threw a deep shot to him. It was like underthrown and almost got picked off, but he did throw like a deep ball to him.
You got to remember, this is going to be a get right spot. Sometimes when you make these lineups, like I mean, this is granted, Galladay's out there like the same price. It's like, is there really a difference? I mean, you got to figure that Tampa Bay is just going to full throttle go hard this week. I know that's a lame excuse, but dude, they got embarrassed last night. So
Yeah, I
this
mean,
could be the Antonio
dude,
Brown. Like, I mean, he doesn't need much to hit value, Ben. I mean, 70 yards and a touchdown. I mean,
I
I feel
used
like
the worst cliche of all time, which is too many mouths to feed. I'm ashamed that I used it, but how many times it's Monday? People on YouTube need to keep track. How many times are we going to hear the angry Tom Brady narrative throughout the week? I mean, that's
oh
all
yeah,
that's
you're right.
all you're
I
going
did.
to hear
I
about
forgot
is
about that.
it's angry Tom narrative. They just got embarrassed in prime time. The Bucks are going to go off.
All right, before we move to tight end, I mean, is this going to be a week that we are playing a receiver in the 4K range, the 3K? Any cheapies coming to mind? I know it's Monday. I know it's hard to decipher and pick through all the injuries and content, but anyone coming up?
Yeah, last week was weird when like I was really on Marcus Johnson yesterday. Like it was weird how that worked out because he was min price and I was not expecting to be so exposed to him. I don't see anyone that like jumps off the page like your boy David
Richie
Morse.
James, though. Richie
Yeah,
James, though.
I know, but I think I mentioned Ayuk, but I think like some of their guys were out from COVID, and I'm assuming like they will be back for this game. Like obviously passing tests and all
Okay.
that stuff. So I think they'll be a little
All
bit
right.
more healthy at receiver.
I am gonna need the San Fran game, and my God, dude, was that amazing? Because I had like 45% ownership on Richie James. And I, no joke, never heard of him, Ben. Not gonna lie. And my lineups were just going off because this guy was like 6% owned. That's why I like on these showdown slates messing with the optimizer. All right, let's go to tight end and finish up here. Early look. Who are you looking at this week?
Yeah, tight end. Again, like we're probably gonna want to save. Like you can make the case for Waller, Hawkinson, even at 51. Like if Gaudi was out, like those guys are fine. But I don't know. You're gonna want to save some money here. I don't see anyone like jumping off the page. Like you have Hunter Henry 4,100. He has done nothing, man. He is on the field and he gets like a couple. He gets 5, 6 targets every game. And he just hasn't converted it with Herbert at quarterback. It's really weird. I think he scored like Herbert's first or second game. I don't think he's scored a touchdown since then. And he just has the same like 6, 7 points every week. It's weird. So I don't know like if I want to go out of my way to lock him in. I think that what will probably end up being the chalk play in my head right now is $4,200 Dallas Goedert with Zach Ertz out. I'm imagining Sunday morning that being just like the Uber chalk at tight end.
I could see that. Wasn't he hurt too, Goddard?
Yeah, he was hurt and then came back for their last game. But, I mean, they're kind of devoid of receiving ability right now. Like, they need guys that can catch passes. And we know that Goddard's good. Like, we've seen it before. That's probably just a little bit too cheap, I think.
Yeah, for sure. What's the update with Austin Hooper?
Yeah, I haven't seen anything on him today. I saw that Wyatt Teller was back. I saw that Chubb was back. I don't know about him. 3,900 is interesting for sure. But, like, I would rather play Goddard, I think, for sure, than Hooper.
Yeah. You're right, though. If people got the money, it's tough because we don't know about if there's going to be a free square yet. If there's a free square this week, call it a Mike Davis. Who else did you say, Ben? There might be somebody else. Even a cheap wide receiver who's like 3K. Tight end, people just pay for Darren Waller. I mean, that's what they're doing because he is the safe option. Yeah, I guess if you can get the Kittle at 6,600, good luck. But I did that once this year, and I told myself never to do it. I always talk about it, and
Kittle's
I actually did
out
it,
anyways,
and I lost. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Just delete that part.
He's
of the
on.
Just kidding.
Kittle's on IR.
He's
we don't have to worry about that.
Don't worry about that part. I wasn't talking about Kittle. Anyways, that leads me to Jordan Reid then, right? What's up with him?
Yeah, so I don't know. I kind of liked him on that showdown slate, but they kind of eased him in, man. He got 2 targets, wasn't on the field a ton. You would imagine that he's more healthy this week. Like I said, they played on Thursday. So, you got it's kind of like a mini bye when you play on Thursday, right? You get the couple extra days of rest. So that could definitely be a thing later on in the week. We'll have to see. I'm sure we'll get some report from Shanahan saying that he's not going to play much and then he'll go off for like 3 touchdowns. But
I mean, Noah Fant, like, dude, God, that guy in FanDuel, it was like the first play of the game. He had like a 35-yard catch. I was like, yes, let's go.
So I don't know what they're going to do. If he was for some reason out, because he left that game, I don't know what it was. I think it was an ankle. If he's out, he's out. Albert O is out for the year, which is his backup. And then I think they have Jake Butt still, who has been hurt every year of like basically since I was in high school, and he's out. So they're gonna probably, I don't know, they probably have some random tight end that even I don't know.
Derek Fell, 3,400. I mean, again, against the Browns, like, why not, right? If you really need a punt.
Yeah, I would probably rather play Thomas, I think. I'm pretty sure Akins is back. But yeah, Fell's also a former Browns player. Texans have a bunch of former Browns.
The Browns are going to give it up in the middle of the field.
Yep.
All right, let's go to defense. Circle the wagons here. I always am paying down. I almost played the Cowboys, Ben. Almost played the Cowboys, and I almost got the lineup that I should have had, and I didn't do it. So, again, you can play the freaking – I mean, I guess the Jaguars, Green Bay. I mean, you would say the same thing about last week. You never know. My first look this week is, I mean, I'm not opposed to playing the 49ers, as lame as that sounds, at 2,300 against, the Saints. I don't know. I mean, I tend to make my lineup, and whatever is there is there. If there's a guy at 2,500, are you looking at anyone else? Of course, I'll try to play a really good defense at 24, 25, but I just try to pay down.
Yeah, I think the Giants at home, we know that Wentz will get sacked. So I think they're probably in play at 27. I think the Rams are interesting because they're 2,300. And, I mean, the Bills got to Russell Wilson a lot. I know they had a lineman out. We'll have to wait and see later on in the week with the Seahawks injury report. But, 2,200 for a team that has Aaron Donald and is going to get to the quarterback is definitely interesting. But you don't want to play the Steelers for $400 more than Mike Davis.
No, not at all. That was funny.
It's a ridiculous price.
That was funny. $6,000 or whatever. I could see the Lions getting some talk, 2,600 actually against the Redskins. I mean, so a lot of cheapy guys. That does it, y'all. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them in the YouTube channel. Ben and I like going in there at times and seeing what the people are chatting about. It's kind of funny. Everything you can find throughout the week, all of our content, dfskarma.com as well as betkarma.com. That does it, Ben. Good luck this week, everybody. We'll see you next week.